Rex Brown on Reform Pantera. We're not doing this for ourselves. We're doing it for the brand.
I got some thoughts on that, but I'll let you read it first.
Okay, yeah, let me read this first slide, and then we can chat about it. Okay, in a new interview with American Musical Supply, Pantera bassist Rex Brown spoke about the decision to tour with a reformed version of the band, also featuring fellow surviving member Philip Anselmo, alongside Zakk Wylde and Charlie Benante. The lineup has reportedly been given a green light by the estates of Pantera's founders, drummer Vincent Paul Abbott and guitarist Dimebag Darrell Abbott. Speaking about how touring with Pantera in 2024 is different from how it was in the band's heyday, Rex said, as transcribed by our good friends at Blabbermouth, "This is a completely different thing, man. We have Charlie and Zakk now, and they're just number one. They've been great friends of ours for all these years. We get along extra super cool. Charlie and I went down, probably put about 80 to 100 hours on tape of all the songs we're going to do for the set and others that we would want to do. Charlie and I worked on this for 6 months before we ever got into a rehearsal room. That's just how good friends we are. Charlie has been one of my best friends for years, so this is another band. It's hard to fill the shoes of the brothers. At the same time, this has become a really tight unit, and Zakk just puts the extra. Dime was a very unique guitar player, and he was my best friend, and it's good to see those boys up on the screens with us, and that's what this is about tonight for me." Got a little bit more here. Regarding how he and the rest of the current Pantera lineup have balanced honoring the band's legacy with any new creative goals they might have, Rex said, "There's many ways that we want to keep this legacy alive because that music is still played all over. We have a whole new generation of fans that they probably wouldn't have heard this stuff if we weren't playing out here, playing these shows. And so that generation of fans, let's say the 15 to 18-year-old kids that come out, they'll shortly have children, and that keeps the new generation alive." And Philip even says it in the set. The parents of the 90s, which I'm a parent of the 90s, it's a very important statement in the set because it's about the gratitude. He gets into the headline on this next section. "We're not doing this for ourselves. We're doing it for the name and the brand, Pantera," he continued. "And by God, this music needs to be heard again. It does. It needed to for a long fucking time, and that's what we're here doing tonight. It's just wonderful to be able to do this and pay homage to my music, the riffs that I wrote or the riffs that Dime wrote, the patterns that Vinny played, and for what Phil came up with. Tremendous impact on this music." Last month, Rex told Rolling Stone Australia about performing with Pantera in 2024. "Two of our beloved brothers that just aren't here anymore, man. That's life, you know. They're just not with us, man. That's just fate. It's the way the ball rolls, dude." He added, "This is no tribute band. Philip and I get to play these songs of ours that we haven't played in 23 years, and to be able to do that and connect with the enormity of what's happened is just extraordinarily fucking insane, you know?" What do you think, Joey?
I think a couple things. One, I don't entirely agree with Rex that it's not about them making money or whatever. I do think they had a chance at making a lot of money again.
Also, the estates make money too.
Correct.
So like the surviving members of the Abbott family are getting money from this. Also, it's one of the few ways you can make money as a musician these days because they're not making shit off streaming. I know that for a fact.
Correct. With that said, I do agree with him that the metal scene probably needs this again. Just bringing back what I would say is a mix between to this generation, classic metal, angry metal. Like people nowadays don't even know what they're angry about. You know, Pantera, I felt like they had that aggression that was real, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's great, you know.
To be honest, that's what I liked about a lot of the Christian bands too. Like they had like kind of like that justified anger. Pandaria and like VOD and Norma Jean and Zao and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I personally, I think there's stuff to be angry about nowadays too. But I just don't know. I don't think the younger generation knows how to put it into good music.
Yeah, that's a good point.
What I mean?
Yeah, I don't disagree. it's funny because a lot of people will say like music shouldn't be political or whatever, and I agree to a fault. I agree that music shouldn't be political in the sense that you're telling people who they should and shouldn't vote for and that kind of shit, like the basic shit. But music is inherently political. Like all the best music has a political kind of undertone, or not necessarily a like, hey, vote for these people or whatever, but it has like a political messaging or a like viewpoint behind it, right? So he gets into a little bit deeper stuff here that I think is cool. We're not doing this for ourselves, we're doing it for the name of the brand. And so we already read that one. This next, sorry, regarding Pantera's latest additions, let me make sure I got Rex said, we knew who would fit and who wouldn't. We knew what obstacles are in front of us, and we knew after, I'll put it this way, Charlie and I came down before we played this first show, and we had probably 100 hours of tape of us playing every fucking Pantera song that I could remember. And so, me and Charlie locking in like that, the drummer and the bass player, that's your foundation. So when Zach came in, there were certain things we had to go over and over and over to get tight. And today this band is about as tight and about as badass as I fucking want. You know what I mean? And that's all I'm going to say about that. But this band is on fucking fire, and I couldn't be happier, man. He added, I just can't explain that as much as I need to. I could not be happier. Rex previously told AndrewHogg.com that he was absolutely open to writing new music with the reformed version of Pantera. Yeah, I could tell you more, but I'm not going to, he teased.
Okay, there again, when he says stuff like that, everyone's going to get hyped up one way or the other.
Yeah.
Well,
and they're not going to, like we've covered this before, they're not going to record as Pantera. Like Zach said, that would be like when Clapton toured with Hendrix's band. Like they're not going to release an album as the Jimi Hendrix Experience. But if they're really tight,
hold on. Let's just walk that out though. Like, what would they record it under?
See, I think they could use a Pantera album name as a reference. Like Trendkill would be a good name. You know what I mean?
So they would have to rebrand. Like any pimple-faced kid out there on YouTube is like, they're not going to know it's Pantera.
I think they could.
Sure, but the smartest business way would be to say Pantera releases new single.
Yeah, of course.
And you're going to get your haters, but like, isn't that the business side like the best way to release it?
I mean, like you said, he said it's for the brand. I mean, why else would you say that?
Why not do Pantera then?
Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong. I don't disagree at all.
You go back to that one slide, because he said something about 80 to 100 hours of tape.
Yeah.
To pick out songs. They don't even have 80 to 100 hours of songs.
I mean, it might have been that they recorded multiple takes and stuff, right?
Oh, like that. Okay. Because I read that earlier, and I'm like, I don't understand what he means by that.
Yeah, they probably just sat down I would imagine what they did is they recorded it and listened to it so Rex could go, hey, at this part, like you need to like bump it up a little bit, or like, you know what I mean? Because it's much easier to hear inconsistencies in a performance if you have it on tape. So that could be one of the reasons. But well, we're almost at an hour. I got one more story, and it's also Pantera related. Actually, no, I got two more. Scratch that. I think the last one is good too. This one is about Meshuggah's Thomas Hawk. I figured since we're already on Pantera, we'll just keep going with this one. But he said, yes. That is amazing. No, don't apologize. That is beautiful.
All right, there we go.
Hold on. I need to see that in all its glory.
I gotta make sure my shirt.
That literally looks like something that I would have drawn on my folder in like when I was like 14 or something.
I love it. I love it. This could be my background.
Absolutely beautiful, man. Absolutely beautiful. So Meshuggah's Thomas Hawk says Pantera was an important band early for us. In a new interview with Drum Talk, the video magazine launched by German drummer and filmmaker Philip Koch, Meshuggah drummer Thomas Hawk, or is it Hockey or Hack? I would say Hawk. Yerfman. about Pantera's classic 1990 albums influenced his band's early sound. He said, Pantera was an important thing early for us, I think, because they were one of those bands, and you kind of touched on this earlier, Joey. They're in the early 90s where everything was just grunge, and all over the place. And they were one of the bands that, at least in Sweden, were doing great and were still selling a lot of albums. But metal kind of died down for a few years there. The fuck you approach of that band was so over the top that you laughed at it, but it was also like, yeah, that's a pretty hard band. He added Far Beyond Driven.
Like it was over the top, but at the same time, there was something real to it as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was genuine.
Right.
The attitude was genuine.
But the presence was personified a bit.
Far Beyond Driven, Vulgar Display of Power, and Cowboys from Hell as well. Those 3 albums, I think they should be on any metalhead shelf. If they're not, you're missing something.
What is your all around favorite Pantera album?
Vulgar Display of Power. That was the game changer. I think I love Far Beyond Driven. I love Tranquil for different reasons, but that was like the match that lit the fire for the rest of the discography. I feel like because like there was nothing like that when Vulgar dropped. It was like, I mean, there were hardcore bands and stuff, and people might like be mad at me for saying that, but like Pantera bridged, I think, the gap between like mainstream metal and extreme metal in a way that no one else was doing.
Sure.
And they were just like so precise and so like, and that's the thing I think I love the most about the Vulgar record. I was talking to my son about this the other day. It's all pretty much in standard tuning and drop D, which is like and then after that they down tune, so their sound got a lot darker, and I love the tone of Vulgar because it's like heavy, but it's like bright and heavy. It's like it is like a literal sonic punch in the face. Like it's just like
the album cover.
Yeah. So that's what I love about it. That's absolutely.
I know you didn't ask, but I'm going to tell you mine. I actually like Cowboys the best.
I don't. That doesn't surprise me.
Really?
No, because I feel like based on what I know about your taste, that record is probably more in your realm of something that you would be into.
Yeah, and like with that said, they're all amazing. But I just find myself, if I'm going to put it on, I'm picking that album.
You know what's crazy is I didn't know this until recently, but the last song they wrote for the sessions for Cowboys was Primal Concrete Sledge.
Oh, really?
And when you listen to that track, you can totally hear the genesis of Vulgar. You know what I mean? Like that is undoubtedly one of the like heaviest, like grooviest tracks on the record.
Yep. So one of my all-time favorite metal songs is Domination.
Yeah. I mean,
like if I had to pick like top 10 metal songs of all time, that would be on that list.
Awesome. Well, you have good taste, my friend. I will say too that like that song and maybe like Cemetery Gates and Primal Concrete Sledge, in addition to Cowboys from Hell, I think are like absolutely necessary Pantera songs.
Mm-hmm.
But I think pound for pound, Vulgar is more. It's an emotional attachment too, because it was the record that got me into him.
Sure.
But
well,
yeah.
And given what I know about you, I would say that's probably your taste too.
Yeah, totally. I definitely like a lot of that, a little bit more out there, pushing the envelope type of music. So.
But there's killer songs on every one of these albums.
Yeah, and I also appreciate what Pantera did, because their whole ethos was to like be heavier with each release. And I think they accomplished it for the most part up until Reinventing the Steel, which I think was kind of them admitting like, hey, let's kind of like go back a little bit and not try to just like out heavy this one.
Yeah. You know? But what's amazing though is like that was like at the peak of nu metal, and they didn't really do that at all.
No, I mean, it's a great album in its own right. Don't get me wrong, but I think it was evident at that point that they were like, we're not going to try to like out heavy our Trend Kill, because
Right.
it got to the point where it's like, you listen to the intro to Far Beyond Driven, and then you listen to the intro to Trend Kill. It's like progressively they were like trying to like just blast you in the face with the opening, and with
Like
I remember,
Skin, man.
yeah, with Reinventing the Steel, still a great record on every level. Like it's like they went back. I saw Rex say this too, and I thought it was so in an interview they did recently, and he said the thing about Pantera is like, yeah, it's heavy, but every song has a hook, and I'm like, yeah, that's true. Like even fucking Hostile has a hook, So that's another thing I think they were able to capture, and one of the reasons
Reinventing the Steel, though, that the front half of the album was stronger than the back half.
Yeah, honestly, I like a lot of the deeper cuts on that too, though. I like Death Rattle. There's a song on there called Death Rattle I really like.
Yeah.
But yeah, then it's more like they're trying to like write anthems, right? Like Yesterday Don't Mean Shit. That's another one I really like.
Right.
Goddamn Electric, of course, was like one of the singles, and
Revolution is my name.
It's a good album in its own right. Like you were saying, for the time period it came out, it was still the Pantera attitude of like, fuck you, we do metal. We don't care what's popular.
Yeah, we're not doing new metal. We're doing Pantera.
Yeah. Yep.
But based on what I know of Meshuggah, like they wouldn't exist without Pantera, Oh,
of course. A lot of bands wouldn't. I thought this was interesting. He said, asked in what in his opinion made Pantera's music so special. Tomas said, I don't know. They certainly had a unique style of drumming, unique guitar playing, unique vocals, the best metal singer probably on the planet. So just the combination, the songwriting was excellent. It was really brutal beatdown music and had little hints of hardcore, a little bit of older hard rock, if you look at their early years before the major label Pantera stuff. So I don't know. It was just a really cool mix. Also, their productions really kind of stood out. Everything was really clear and you could really hear everything. So it was just a combination of all those things that made Pantera a great band. And then there's like one more thing he said about Vinny. Hawk also talked specifically about Vinnie Paul's drumming during his time with Pantera, saying that was one of the things that really stood out early on too. He had some things that he did both with his feet and hands that were kind of a new thing. And I think that was a whole generation of drummers kind of snipped off and started using a little bit, where you do like 3 hits on 2 bass drums and stuff like that. So definitely signature Vinnie Paul stuff. That was that basically shaped a whole generation of musicians for sure. In metal, there's no doubt. I thought that was a pretty cool little nod from arguably Meshuggah, one of the most influential bands of the last 20 years in metal. Everyone does Dient because of Meshuggah.
Right.